Alright guys, welcome back to the Hello World guy, and in this video we are going to get started adding the actual gun model to our game and then some cool sound effects. So let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is add an actual physical gun to our player. So currently we can shoot and do everything. So just to show you what we had in the last video, if I hit the play button and now, then you can see I can shoot and it spawns this cool particle effect as well, and that's pretty awesome. And we can shoot this cube to cause this animation to play. So yeah, that's pretty cool, and we can also jump around of course and all of that. And now what I want to do is actually add a gun which we can see to our player. Now in order to do that, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to open up my hierarchy and go under the player object. Now first thing we want to do is actually get the gun inside of our Unity project. So to do that, we need to have a 3D model for the gun. Now this is a tutorial about Unity, so I of course won't teach you how to create 3D models. Do let me know in the comments if you want a tutorial on that as well, but I'm not going to show you that right now. And if you have got some experience with 3D modeling, then you can use that, but otherwise you can download some free assets online. Just go ahead and search on Google, it's easy to find them. So I will leave a link to Bracky's official site from which I downloaded these models that we are going to use today, and you can download your models from there as well. So in order to do that, in order to actually start importing the models, what you need to do, you can just place them inside of your Unity project folder, and that should automatically import it. But let's say you've got your model stored somewhere else. What you can do is right click here and hit import new asset, and then here you can open up the folder you want and then select the file, the fbx file. Unity supports other format like obj and other as well. I'm going to use an fbx file, and I'm going to just double click on this rifle.fbx file and make sure that the textured folder are in the correct places as well. So just import that file, and it should import this it should import the actual model. And you can kind of see you can see this the outline of the model here. And in order to actually add it, I'm going to attach this model to our main camera. And as soon as I do that, I don't know if you can see it, you can see that this is very small actually. Yeah, it's really tiny, but it's there, the gun is there, it's just really small. So if I select my gun, what I can also of course just select this rifle and increase the scale to make it bigger. But I'm going to do is select this rifle in the import settings, and then I'm going to go under this scale factor. And what you can do, oh of course, one thing you notice is that this has got this convert units option, which converts 1 centimeter to be equal to, well, 1 centimeter in Unity. You can change this if you want. If you just turn it off and hit apply, then you can see the gun becomes a lot bigger because it's now using metric units now. Well, it's not converting the units. So what I can do is turn off convert units and then change the scale factor to 0.1 to adjust this. And now you can see that the gun is around the right size, maybe not, so I can 0.25 maybe, and just hit apply again, and that should cause the gun to be correctly sized. I'm going to just make it 1.5. You can of course change the gun scale there, but I like to have the scale correct here as well. So now what you can do is take this rifle in the hierarchy and then just move it forward a little bit on the z-axis, and a little bit to the left on the maybe a little lower on the y-axis, and a little bit to the left on the x-axis, and then a little back on the y maybe. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm also going to just change the scale to 0.75 actually. um, you can adjust everything to your preferences. It's not really that much of a problem. And now as this gun is attached to our camera, if I hit the play button, you should see that I can move the camera and the gun moves with it. Now of course the problem you have noticed is that the gun currently doesn't have textures applied, so we need to do that. Alright, so what we need to do to add textures is really simple. We just need to go ahead and import a new asset, and after selecting the location that your asset is located in, you can go and select this textures folder if your texture has one. If it doesn't, then you can't do much. So then you can go under the actual maps and then import all of them. So I'm going to import all of the maps that I've got in the normal, metallic, and occlusion maps. You might not know what all of these maps mean, but well, it's really not that complicated. So I'm going to also hit import new asset and then go ahead in textures and variation 6 folder, and then I'm going to import this as well. Now after doing that, what I'm going to do is right click here and create a new folder. Now there are ways to make Unity do this automatically, but I'm going to show you how to create a custom material so that you also know how to hook up your normal maps, etc. inside of Unity. So what I'm going to do is drag all of this inside of textures, and then for the material I'm going to right click here. I'm going to select this asset, go under the material settings and hit extract materials, and I'm just going to choose my materials folder, and what that should do is create a material here called UVs. I'm going to rename this to gun. Now this is our gun material, and as you can see, if I change this, then the actual gun changes. But of course we want it to have the textures. So in order to do that, if you click on this box beside the albedo channel, you can actually drag a texture in here. So if I go under my texture folder, and okay, I'm going to select my material. Okay, I need to select my material at the same time while going in the texture folder. What you can do to do this is just select the material you want, and I'm going to hit this lock icon to lock the inspector. Now if I select anything else, it won't show up in the inspector. So now I'm going to go under my texture folder, and you can see a bunch of the different stuff here. So I'm going to drag this albedo texture. Now hopefully the website you downloaded your things from had everything. So, and make sure that the color is white for everything. And then for the metallic, and you can see we've got a metallic input here. I'm going to drag this metallic texture, and for the normal, I'm going to drag this inside the normal map. And then the occlusion, I'm going to, okay, the smooth, I'm going to decrease the smoothness, and then I'm going to take the occlusion and then drag that into this occlusion map. And then I'm going to, all right, you can see that this is giving a warning that this texture is not normal map. If you hit fix now, then it should fix everything. And I'm going to take this emission. I'm going to first turn on this emission option here, and then for the color I'm going to drag this emission map in here. And just like that, you can see we have got our gun completely set up inside of Unity. And if I just hit play, you can see that it's working and it looks pretty awesome. The gun is, it's like shiny, and it's also got an emissive area here, and you can see it's looking pretty cool, and could make it better, but I think it works for now. Now one particular problem I would like to show you is that this gun has a bullet here. So this bullet is present with the gun. It might not be the case in case of your asset unless you downloaded this same gun. But the problem here is that we don't really need this bullet here, so we can remove that. But if I try to just delete the bullet, you can see it doesn't let me do that, and I cannot delete it from here either. So what I'm going to do is actually just select the bullet for now and just disable it, and that should get rid of the bullet. And with that, we have got our gun set up completely. Now of course the next thing you want to add is sound effects. Now there are a bunch of ways you could do it, but the way I'm going to do it is just by adding so I'm going to select my player, and then I'm going to add a component here called sound audio source. Okay, so you can see we have got this audio source component here, and I'm going to add that. Now if you notice, then in your main camera you have got an audio listener component which listens for audio. So this must be present on the camera for the audio to actually work. And I'm going to now select my player object which has got an audio source, and now we need to supply it with an audio clip. Now of course in order to do that, you need to actually have an audio clip. So one thing I'm going to do is right click here and create a new folder and call that assets. These are going to be, okay, so not assets, I'm just going to call this external assets. These are going to contain all of our external assets. Because our game is currently small, I don't think it makes really sense to separate the meshes and the audio. We can just have them in the same folder. So here I'm going to right click and hit import new assets. Alright, so I'm going to just select my mp3 file here, and I hope you have got some kind of gun sound effect downloaded from the internet already. And this is what it looks like. I don't really know if it sounds like a gun effect, but anyways, we can just go ahead and select my player object and then just drag this in the audio clip. Now of course this won't play, and I'm going to turn off play on opaque because we don't want it to be played when the game starts. And now we need to do a little bit of programming to play it when we actually shoot. So to do that, I'm going to open up Visual Studio and open up shooting.cs. And in here, one thing that we need to do is just first of all get the reference to the audio source component. So what I'm going to do is after doing all of this code, I'm going to basically say I'm going to create an audio source called source is equal to get component audio source. All right, now with that done, we got our source, but it may be null, and if it is not null, then only then we will just use the function play on the source, which should, well, play the source. So if I do that and go into Unity and let it compile, upon running it really should work. So if I just play, so if I shoot, then you can see it displays the sound. Sorry, it not displays the sound, it's the sound, we can hear the sound, and that looks really good. And you can also tune down the volume of it if you want. I think it's too high, by going under the audio source settings and then changing the volume down, but I'm going to just leave it at 1. Maybe I'll just change it to 0.5. Alright, with that done, we have got basically a sound system working for our gun. Now this is pretty much all I had planned for this video, but I am going to also show you one little cool thing, I guess, which is double jumping. So how can we implement double jumping in our game? Now it is really easy actually with our current character controller. If I just open up the player movement script, you can see here we check if the controller dot is grounded property. But instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is go here, and here I'm going to create a private int jump count here, and I'm going to by default set it to 0. And here I'm going to create a serialized field, which is, now this jump count will represent how much time we have jumped already, and here the integer will represent the max jump count, which is the amount of jumps that we can do. So by default I'm just going to leave it at 1, which means only single jumping. And here what we can do is, instead of checking controller dot is grounded, we are going to check here we are actually, okay, if controller dot is grounded, we are setting it to -2. Okay, instead of doing that, here where we are actually just checking this, we are not going to say controller dot is grounded. Instead we are going to say jump count is equal to 0, maybe less than or equal. I mean, it's not going to be less than 0, but still. And I'm going to wrap this inside of curly braces so that we can add another statement here, and that is just basically going to increment the jump count. Now this makes sure that the jump, we are, oh sorry, that's a mistake, if less than or equal to the max jump count. Okay, so actually less than the max jump count. So this means that when it's 0, then it will execute, but if the jump count is 1, it will not execute the jump again. And but of course this won't really work, because currently we are not setting the jump count to 0. So here where we are setting the move y to be in -2, what I can do is just say that jump count is equal to 0 as well, because of course now we are on the ground, it means that we have stopped jumping. Now if I just go under Unity and I select my player, you can see we have got our max jump count here, and if I change it to 2, then just like that we have got double jumping in our game, and that's pretty good actually. This does impose a slight problem, that we can jump even if we fall off, but you can only do it twice, and that's not really a problem. I actually want that, but if you don't, you can just add another check for ground, for the player being grounded if the jump count is less than 1. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, and I will see you in the next video, where we will try to make our gun automatic, because currently it's not automatic, along with adding a little bit of AI to our enemy. So I will see you in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and bye.